Throwdown Nation. We are not live. We are convening the Wrestling Roundtable. And we've got a few things to talk with you guys about. And for one, this Sunday, we have TNA Bound for Glory to talk about. And then also, we have a new thing. We have the hot take topic of the week. I'm going to keep that to myself for the moment, until we get through talking about TNA, but it's a good one. We're going to have some fun tonight. So,
hell yeah, we are.
So what we have here is, this Sunday, the 12th of October, 7 p.m. Eastern, coming to you from Lowell, Massachusetts, we've got TNA Bound for Glory. And Bound for Glory has always essentially kind of been TNA's WrestleMania. And TNA, as we know, has always kind of been the wrestling company that could. Over the years, there are plenty of times that federation should have died, but it just, like their pay-per-view is titled, they're hard to kill. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know about you, but I've loved TNA over the years. Just being the federation that largely introduced the world to AJ Styles, and some of their early stuff with Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, all of that. And really, they're continuing to put out some really great content, and and to be another solid place for wrestlers to work and hone their craft. So, I've always had a soft spot in my heart for TNA. What about you?
100% agree. It's so funny. There have been so many like peaks and valleys with TNA. It's like you said, there's so many points where it could have, maybe even should have died, but it keeps going.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate though how over the years, like the one thing that people are able to really keep in mind with TNA though is their amazing, and I mean amazing, ability to produce their own stars and their own stars. Historically, there's like a track record of being the most talented professionals in the sport, like you said, AJ Styles. But um, I could like one that stands out in my mind. I know it's not a organic TNA star, but Christian Cage is like one of my all-time, like his run from
Mm-hmm.
2005. That's one of my
Yes.
all-time favorite wrestling like reinventions. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing with like Gail Kim, Awesome Kong. I'm not trying to glaze her because I know her, but Sue Young is like I went back and watched a lot of her stuff and amazing. Um, but I don't want to drag it on, but TNA has an amazing ability to produce and give opportunities to people who are extremely talented. Always love that. And it's certainly a high point right now, as we're going to get into, because we have a lot of talent on this card, a lot of people who have demonstrated that they know how to keep this company alive and going, even when WWE right
Mm-hmm.
now is kind of like, you know, kind of in a valley. So take it away, Matt. Do your thing.
Absolutely. So, moving on to the let's see here. Is this going to let me do what I need to do? Huh. This is, let me try something here.
Mm.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, for some reason, that configuration, I'm going to see if I can maybe, there we go. That's a little better.
Mm.
Yeah, the configuration just wasn't letting me actually change the slides on
Yeah.
this. So let's see here. Well, that configuration doesn't seem to want to let me do it either. So we're just going to end up going to this. So anyway, and again, they haven't released the match order that I'm aware of, so I just kind of put it in an order that makes sense to me. But
Right.
so they've got this what they're billing as a grudge match: Tessa Blanchard versus Gia Miller. And I'll be the first to admit that with TNA's current TV deal, I'm you know I'm I understand some of the storylines. I'm able to see some of the episodes of Impact, but I unfortunately don't get to see all of it. So
Hmm.
this is actually a storyline that I'm not hugely familiar with as far as the circumstances leading up to this match, other than Tessa apparently jumped Gia and Gia wants revenge.
Yeah,
And my question is, I'm am I remembering correctly, or wasn't Gia mostly an announcer?
I think so. Like I said, like I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I'm not like super in tune with like wrestling as it is on TV.
Hmm.
Um, and TNA is I found a little bit harder even than WWE and AEW to keep track of. So,
Right.
but I remember Gia Miller, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
could have sworn same thing, yeah.
I think I know for a while she was actually dating Ace Austin, but
Mm,
that apparently is no longer a thing. But just so based on what little I know about this particular match and the circumstances, I'm probably going to say Tessa will take this just based on name value. I mean,
mhm.
what do you think?
Um, so in preparing for this and everything, I was kind of like watching back and going back a little bit. So I guess the heat from this build mostly comes from Tessa attacked Gia at Slammiversary.
Okay.
It was pretty gnarly looking too. Um, that you might hear me like say this over and over again tonight, but as far as like a creative perspective like it's one of those things where I feel like, it really could go either way. Because again, there wasn't a huge build to this, like you said. So if Tessa goes over, I just see it as a heat building device for her going forward. But if Gia Miller goes over, it's like babyface, wins, kind of like that hallmark and wider wrestling thing, or wider wrestling analogs, I guess. Uh, you know, could go either way. If Gia wins, I could see it going longer if that's what they want to do. But if Tessa wins, it could just be, a,
A
a
squash,
relative,
yeah.
yeah, squash. So, um, honestly, I'm just gonna say Tessa, just because I think, maybe it makes more sense to do that to, build her and maybe she can go after Knockouts championship or something, be a big contender. We'll get into that later for Kalani Jordan, but I don't know.
Right.
I also don't know where they might go with this. So
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to think this will probably be a one and done type of situation. I don't see this dragging into a multi match series,
sure.
but who knows?
Right.
I don't have the pencil,
Yeah,
so
right. Wrestling's the Wild West, right?
it is. It is. So this next match is they're terming it a hardcore war
Mm,
between Order 4, which is Mustafa Ali's faction,
mm-hmm,
and the System. And based on this type of match, I feel like this type of match plays more to the strengths of the System.
mm-hmm,
That being said, though, I love Mustafa Ali, and I think his devious nature could also play well into this type of match. And so to me, this is almost a pick 'em. I think this match will just be fun, violent,
Yeah,
physical, and you know, logically, I think I'll probably go with the system just because I do feel like this type of match plays more to their strengths. But like I said, I love me some Mustafa Ali, and I would love to see Order Four win it, but I think the system will pull it out. What do you think?
fair play. This first, maybe the only, but certainly the first where I'm gonna disagree with you, Matt. No hard
Okay.
feelings.
No,
Um,
no.
only that listen, as much as I would love to see Moose win, by the way, because he's a fellow WWA 4 guy, um, as much as I would love to see him win, honestly, um, Mustafa Ali kind of just sort of came back, and maybe it's recency bias or whatever, but I thought he had a really good run on the indie scene. He came through Defy, um, back I
Hmm.
think it was either earlier this year or last year. I don't know. My memory's kind of fuzzy, but he's been killing it on the indie scene, and now that he's kind of clawing his way back up to WWE, starting out with TNA, I would assume. Um, this could do a lot for him if because there's some big names in there. You got Eddie Edwards too, and I
Yeah,
forget Kurt Hawkins. I don't remember what his name is now. So I'm gonna go with um, Order Four solely because of that. Um, but only because I think Mustafa Ali just coming back with his new stable and everything. I think he kind of needs the win more than because Moose is established, Kerr Hawkins is established, same with Eddie Edwards. Not really so much familiar with the other two. But that they're big names. They can take a loss like this, just as long as the match is fun and entertaining. I think it will do better to kind of get Mustafa Ali more of a little bit to go off of, a couple more places to um bounce off of, so
got you. Well, I don't know if you were able to catch it, but Tuesday night, he actually had a really good match with Ethan Page in
mm,
NXT.
yeah, yep.
Really good match.
Hmm.
So like I said, I'm a huge fan of his, and I was just glad to see him, kind of back in NXT for at least tonight, and
Yeah.
I thought that was a good show.
For a second, I really thought they were gonna put the strap on him too, the North
I did
American
too.
title. Yeah,
I did too. Yeah, I was like, well, this is interesting.
right,
But
right.
and I thought he and Ethan Page had good chemistry.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Very good match. Very good match.
So the TNA Women's Tag Team Championship, the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand. And this is another one that circumstances wise, I'm not hugely familiar with. And, I'll be very honest, I'm not at all familiar with the Inspiration. So based on just very limited knowledge about this match, I'll go with the Elegance brand just because I'm more familiar with kind of who they are and what they do.
Sure.
Um, uh, what about you?
Well, I know the inspiration is they're huge on social media. I
How are
forget
they?
I forget who, but I know one of them like because one of my friends shared one of her stories and like she has like 1.2 million followers and it's like Jesus,
Goodness.
like that is
Wow.
wild. I also saw they just won the titles too, and they got a pretty good reaction from the crowd after. Um, like you said, I'm not super familiar with really either one, but I do know the inspiration, and they're kind of, I guess they're picking up some steam, so
Hmm.
it makes sense that maybe they would win. Um,
Yeah.
I just foresee it maybe going that way, give them like a longer run or something, but um, like you said, I don't have the pencil, so we'll see how that ends up.
Well, you've definitely educated me a little bit. Yeah, I mean, based on new information, I may have to change my opinion on that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But
seriously, check them out. Like it's actually
yeah,
kind of wild how popular they are. Like they've crossed over like I was like 1.2 million for a wrestler, especially on TNA is kind of crazy. And I was like checking to see
absolutely, yeah,
some of my friends who aren't even wrestling fans follow the one lady. I was like, "Oh, okay." And as a wrestler, what more could you want other than crossing into the pop stream and getting more of the like casual people, to notice you and follow you. So I thought that was like, okay. So obviously they're gonna keep pushing them as long as they can and give them some good stuff.
yep. So TNA International Championship.
Mm,
Frankie Kazarian and Steve Macklin. Man, I absolutely love both of these guys. Have loved
yeah.
them both for a long time. I love the work rate both of them bring to the ring. I think this is going to be an incredibly physical encounter, and both of these guys are going to leave it all in the ring. Um, you know, this is another almost a pick 'em for me, but
Hmm.
I think I'm gonna go with Macklin.
Hmm.
How do
Yeah,
you
I
feel?
agree. I agree. I agree with you in that it could go either way. But I think Macklin, um, like after a very beautiful match, after a very good match, because I saw a little bit from that AAA match that they had. What was it? A couple like a couple weeks ago,
Hmm.
where Kazarian went over. Like very good match, So
Yeah,
yeah, did Frankie Kazarian just win it? Sure, but that's not unprecedented in wrestling for like a quick turnover for a title, to build heat to a bigger match. And being that this is Bound for Glory, could totally see Steve Macklin winning it back.
yeah,
Again, after a pretty good match. This one, um, I have like well, I don't want to say it's match of the night because I'll say that for later, but I certainly feel like yeah, this is going to be an absolute banger in the making.
agreed, agreed. And I've got to say it, in my opinion, I think Kazarian is actually doing some of the best work of his career right now.
Mm,
I think coming back to TNA after his run in AEW, he came back to TNA. I feel like really with a chip on his shoulder because
mm,
he had never been used, at least in my opinion, properly or effectively during his AEW run. And I think he came back and he was just pissed
yeah.
because I think to some extent he felt like he had just spun his wheels for the few years he was in AEW when he brought so much to the table and they just kind of ignored it. Uh, but I feel like he came back reinvigorated and really ready to put in some tremendous work. And these
Hmm.
last few years, I think he has just been sensational.
Right. I mean, he looked like Frank Kazarian, to be totally honest. Like he's a name that I've always heard like throughout the years. Like am I gonna lie and say that I've watched a lot of his work? No. Um, but he's a name that's always popped up and nothing but nice things I've heard
Yep.
about him. Um, and checking out that AAA match, he looked really good in it. Like he
Hmm.
looked like his like even though yeah, it was like he won it with interference and everything, he looked convincing. And
Yeah.
when you like with the title and everything like that, and like I saw as a really good like showing for him. So again, it's
Hmm.
tough to say that he might drop it, but again, I think he's doing great work, and I could definitely see him going for more higher things on the card. Um, Time will tell, but like you said, totally agree. I think he's doing great work right now. Mm,
This match I am hugely excited about.
yeah.
Um, X Division Championship, Leon Slater versus Javon Evans. You have got two extremely young guys
Yeah.
who are so crazy athletic and so innovative. This is a match. You were talking about the previous one, and I agree with you on that one. But I mean, to me, this is the match that really has the potential to steal the show.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
and this is another one that and it's exciting to have so many matches on this card that you feel like are pick'ems. I
Hmm.
mean, where there's really not necessarily a really clear choice as to who to pick as the winner.
Right.
Um, I mean, if I have to take a guess, I'm gonna say Javon Evans, but you could convince me otherwise.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. I've been seeing Javon Evans a lot recently on NXT, which is saying
Hmm.
something. I
Yeah,
saw they had a match with Randy Orton not too
yeah,
long ago, so that's big. Like literally one of the biggest names in wrestling right now. Um,
yeah,
you know, Randy Orton's a legend in our time that everybody kind of knows. So the fact
yeah.
that they paired up, like,
Hmm.
I think it's time to give Javon a proper push because he's doing a lot of good things for TNA and he's bringing a lot of like eyes upon it with his work.
Yeah,
And what better than the X Division Championship? One of my favorite championships personally of all time. Always loved the X
yeah,
Division title. Always loved the Ultimate X matches and everything. Um, I think he would add a lot of value to that championship and give it a lot of buzz, for lack of a better term. And I hope he keeps showing up on NXT, and hopefully, he gets a nice call up next year. Um, but yeah, like you said, could go either way because Leon Slater is also amazing, doing great
yeah.
stuff. But if I were a betting man, yeah, Javon Evans has got this match won.
Yeah, yeah. And you were talking about his match with Randy Orton. He also recently just had one with Sami Zayn that was also
Yeah,
just
yeah.
incredibly good.
Mhm.
And I've actually had some folks on the show, other indie wrestlers from the Carolinas that
Mhm.
had encountered Javon Evans,
Right.
on the indies,
Right.
and
Yeah.
are saying he is just an amazing kid. I mean,
Yeah.
just a respectful hard worker who's a sponge. I mean,
Mhm.
the type of young wrestler that really with those type of qualities, the sky is the limit. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm definitely excited to see really what the future holds for both of these guys because
Sure.
that they're both just top notch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen Leon Slater's combination Swanton 450, but it is just nuts.
Yeah, insane, right? Yeah.
I mean,
They're both like 21 too, like
yeah, yeah,
like
they're both just babies. I
right.
mean,
Yeah, exactly. Like hard to believe, that like, and I don't want to like sound like oh kids these days because I'm 26, but like it's insane to think that, how much work it takes to go into wrestling,
yeah,
and how many years it takes going into this, how much training and how many good matches you have in order to even get a
yeah,
whiff of something like TNA. And these guys are already stealing the show on it. So,
I know, I know,
like
it's crazy.
that says something if they're that young, both of them,
Yeah,
and we're talking about them in this light. So, huge fan of both these guys for sure.
yeah, and I had heard the other day that Javon Evans actually started training at age 13. So I
Mm,
mean, even though he's only 21, he's actually been wrestling
right.
for 8 years. So
That
I mean,
ain't that
that's just
something?
wild.
Yeah.
So. So the TNA Knockouts Championship,
Yeah.
Kalani Jordan from NXT versus Indy Hartwell. And, you know, I'm a big Indy Hartwell fan. I loved her stuff in WWE, particularly during her NXT run. I actually thought she was tremendous in NXT. But
Sure.
when she got brought up to the main roster, I felt like she just kind of got lost in the shuffle and
Hmm.
never really was able to gain traction.
Right.
But I think she is amazingly talented.
Hmm.
So and you know I feel like because they're still kind of doing the whole TNA versus NXT type of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like they're wanting to sort of kind of keep a bit of a balance there.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm gonna go with Indy Hartwell winning this, but again, I could be convinced otherwise. What do you say?
Right. This one's tough because I know Kalani Jordan also just won it,
Yeah,
like so and she was she had a pretty heavy hand to play in the whole TNA NXT collision that happened what was it, Tuesday?
yeah,
Um so um I think again it could go either way because Indy Hartwell is really good. I think Kalani Jordan's pretty good too.
yeah.
Um so I don't like you said, it could go either way and I could be convinced either way. You twist my arm, maybe Kalani Jordan, only because, I have this thing where it's like if they just won it, I feel more inclined to like if otherwise if I don't know them, you know, if I don't know them like really well or they're familiar with their work, like just from a booking perspective, it would make more sense to have longer title reigns. And I think that does more for the people involved. So I'm just gonna go with Kalani Jordan, but that's not to rule out Indy Hartwell is gonna go anywhere. I certainly think that they have something big planned for her, especially being so involved with how Kalani won it as like the
Hmm.
special guest ref or whatever, and how she like got knocked out with her finisher and everything. So um I think Kalani Jordan from now, but we're gonna maybe see some sort of feud or Indy's gonna get some kind of something out of this.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh
Oh
man.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
The TNA and NXT World Tag Team Championship, one final table: the Hardys and the Dudleys. Um,
Mm,
this one is just going to be fun.
right.
um, yeah, they will both get their stuff in, which
Mm.
because it's what the fans are going to want to see.
Oh
that they're
yeah.
they're going to want to see them all come out and basically play the hits.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna want to see Edge and
And
Christian too, but I guess we can't
yeah,
can't have
yeah.
nice things in this world. But, all
Could
joking aside though, yeah, like you're 100% right. It's gonna
could you imagine the pop in that building though if
oh
Edge and
man.
Christian did a run in?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
oh
like
Lord,
if we lived in a perfect world,
yeah,
where we could all
it
have
would
nice
happen.
things
But
and,
yeah,
like they really cared about the fans, but nah,
yeah,
as
no,
it
it's
is
not going to
though,
happen. But what a moment that would be.
amazing. Yeah, oh yeah. Like because we haven't seen like it's literally been 20 something years, correct me if I'm wrong, since all three of them have shared a ring together, right? Like I don't know
At
if
least, yeah,
right. Like I could have sworn maybe they done a promo. I know each of them has worked, like kind of like a weird circle one another.
yeah.
Edge and Matt Hardy, Jeff and Ed. Um, I'm trying to blank, but they all been in separate companies. Like, you know, Hardy's been like I remember in the mid 2010s, like Hardy's were kind of TNA, ROH, then back in WWE, and then just as they were getting back into WWE, Dudley's kind of like retired, and then like when Edge and Christian both came back, like 2020s, They were in WWE while the Hardys were, still in AEW. Like, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
kind of like circling all around. Now that Dudleys are back, I don't know if this is like I know it says one final table, but like I don't know if it's like a Dudley's retirement match or whatever. I would certainly hope not because that edge, that one last, you know, TLC match between those three could do
Hmm.
could do some can break some noise,
Oh yeah.
especially.
I mean, you know, uh, and again, like you said, we can't have nice things, but if they could work out some kind of a forbidden door situation and just do a one
Yeah.
night match,
Mm,
wow. I mean, that would just be insane.
right.
But
Hide
yeah,
your wallets, it's gonna get filled,
yeah,
you know?
no doubt. But as for the outcome of the match, I'm going to say it's going to absolutely be a banger.
Hmm.
I'm going to say the Hardys are going to get the win because they seem to be remaining as actually an active team, whereas I don't think the Dudleys are, particularly Devon. Apparently, Devon's got some health issues going on.
Mm,
So, because of that, I think the Hardys will end up winning the match because, I think the Dudleys will continue to make some one-off appearances and stuff like this here and there, but
yeah,
I mean I don't think they are in a position to want to be defending titles. I mean,
right.
so yeah, I think the Hardys will come out on top here, but I just think it's going to be fun.
Right. Well, really, Matt, let me correct you. It's actually the fans that are gonna win this. Just
Yeah, well,
joking. I mean,
absolutely, yeah. No.
seriously, we're winning. We're winning by seeing this. Like, um, it's honestly a treat, and it's weird to say that, and like I said, I have my own opinions on like kind of like nostalgia baiting wrestling fans and everything because it's
Yeah.
honestly almost a cliche at this point. But, um, it's funny, like, we talked earlier this week and, we talked about, like, going off topic for a second, we talked about, like, my first memories in wrestling with The Undertaker and Edge and their 2008
Yeah.
feud. My friend Bailey that I mentioned when I was staying over at his house, because I was thinking about this and thinking about my origins in wrestling. When I was staying at his house, he was also a TNA fan, and again, never heard of TNA. One of the first memories I ever had of TNA was that the Dudleys were doing a weigh-in segment. I forget who they were going after the tag titles, but I forget who it was against. But I vividly remember like there's like a bunch of people in the ring. It was a really funny promo where Devon got on the scale and he was just fine, right? Because apparently they had to weigh a certain amount. And then, Bully Ray gets on and he's like way over, and then he's like taking off his wrist tape, right? He's
Oh
like
yeah.
doing all this stuff, and then they did like we can't be eating that promos after, like really trying to like do the whole working out thing to get under 275. I thought that was really
Yep.
funny. And then that's when I started kind of watching TNA a little bit right at that same time. But it's funny because like, there's like it's almost like a full circle moment because one of my earliest memories of TNA was of Team 3D. And here we
Hmm.
are, however many years later, and this might be their final moment in TNA, a company that they were just so influential in. Because I went back and I watched, their debut right after One Night Stand, when they left WWE and they came in on fire, no pun intended, tables and everything, but like
Yeah.
totally on fire with TNA, and they completely revolutionized the tag division. Like they brought a lot of like they had amazing matches. They won, I think at one point they had the TNA titles, they had the New Japan tag titles, they had some other like they
Hmm.
had three championships at one, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
They
they
they were belt collectors before it was cool.
yeah, right. But yeah, they were exactly that. They were belt collectors. Like they kind of had a similar thing with Kurt Angle, where it's like, the Dudleys or Team 3D. I know them as Team 3D. I don't really call them the
Hmm.
Dudleys so much. It's one of those things where it's like, are they? I know they're like ECW originals or whatever, but are they really WWE guys or are they TNA guys? You know, and it's kind of hard. The lines are blurred
Yeah,
because they just cook off in TNA, and it would it make sense to give them their 25th tag team championship, which is insane. Um, like as much as I would love to see it, absolutely, but Devon having health issues, Bully Ray getting older. They haven't been an active team, for a while now. Both have retired, unretired, retired again, over and over
yeah,
again. The Hardys are still kicking it, somehow, some way, which surprises me, especially Jeff.
yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
talk about
right.
hard to kill.
Yeah, yeah. Come on, bang bang, yeah. Um, as much as I would love to see Team 3D get their 25th, in a year of where like Cena won his 17th championship or whatever, like, we're doing the thing. As much as I would love to
Yeah,
see them win their 25th, I mean, it makes sense that the Hardys would win, and then, immediately after going to a program with like maybe some new up and coming tag team, or maybe they turn this into a story. I don't know. But yeah, like my heart wants Team 3D to win, but my gut is telling me that, yeah, the Hardys are gonna win somehow. Um, I know it's gonna be something special, they're like,
oh, for sure.
maybe Spike comes out and helps the Dudleys or something, which I would love to see. Maybe they put them through a flaming table. I don't know. But time will tell. But yeah, my gut's telling me the Hardys got this thing,
Yep,
unfortunately.
yep, yep. Yeah, yeah. But, like you said, we are the true winners.
Yeah,
just just to get to observe this is just going to
100%.
be a treat.
Yeah, testify.
Yes. So, and then we have the TNA Championship. Trick
Mm,
Williams from NXT versus Mike Santana. And I mean, my opinion on this, uh, Trick has done an admirable job as TNA champion, but I think it's time for the belt to go back to an actual TNA wrestler.
yeah,
So, because of that, I think Mike Santana will get the win here to basically send the fans home happy. And that also allows Trick to get back, kind of wrap up his business in NXT, and likely head to Maine.
100% agree.
What's your take?
Um, again, like I love Trick Williams, not necessarily because of his work as TNA champion, which is great, but I just love his work in general. Um, it was when he had that segment with Taker that I really started watching a lot of his stuff. Um, and tremendous performer, amazing heel. And really, yeah, like you said, he's done everything he can do with the TNA championship. He's brought a lot of attention to it, a lot of attention to TNA specifically. Um, I think he's done an amazing job as champion. He's kind of, I don't know, because if he doesn't drop the title at Bound for Glory, where else could he realistically drop it? I think
Right.
this makes the most sense. I think it would be because I saw the promo too at the Worlds Collide thing,
Hmm.
where Mike Santana ended it, where he said it, the TNA Championship's coming back home, and then they start brawling. Like no better way to really cap off what I think has been a really fun, entertaining, um, and rejuvenating reign for the TNA Championship. And I
Agreed.
think I think Trick Williams got a lot of great things ahead of him. I think really got that rub, and I think he really took this title reign and knocked it out of the park, and really demonstrated the potential that he's got for main roster. So hopefully Mike Santana has a similarly successful title run. Um, but yeah, I think Mike's got it. As much as it pains me to see, because it's almost like any good championship reign is an end of an era in and of itself.
It is.
So this really entertaining reign that Trick has had, but what a reign it was. So
But the good thing is it was this in particular is where I really have enjoyed this relationship between TNA and WWE,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I feel like, Trick having the belt actually really elevated the TNA championship, and Trick having a world championship elevated Trick. So, it was, to me, this is one of the shining examples of how good that partnership has actually been for both
100%.
companies. So,
Yeah.
as far as potential surprises for the show, um, I've been hearing a lot of rumors. Do you think they are going to announce new TNA ownership and potentially a new TV deal for TNA? I've there's been rumors of Lorenzo Fertitta, who was one of the original owners of the UFC, possibly
Wow.
being in the mix to be the new owner of TNA. And then, there's rumblings of a possible TV deal with the CW.
Mm,
And I'm wondering if they're going to announce one or the other of those, or potentially both, at Bound for Glory.
interesting.
Um, any thoughts on that?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Last time I recall, didn't NWA have a CW deal too? Like, I could have sworn they were airing something on the CW channel specifically because I knew a guy that was on it, um, and he
Well,
was actively working in NWA.
they were um, they were on the CW's app, and
Okay, yeah, I see.
they were supposed to go to the actual network, and then they had that hullabaloo on one of their pay-per-views where somebody was like simulating snorting cocaine or something, and it just really turned off the
Whoa!
CW. It really
Yeah.
turned off the CW, and they kind of severed ties.
Wow.
So yeah.
I gotta watch more wrestling, man. That's that's funny.
Yeah, the guy, I think he's got another ring name now, but it was the same guy who was Father James Mitchell back in the day, was involved in that whole simulated cocaine spot, and it just
Yeah,
apparently it just really got crazy, and
yeah, no,
CW was like, no, no, no.
yeah,
So,
right. Well, what would you expect from a bunch of
um,
wrestlers, you know?
well, what can you say?
Yeah, it's Wild West,
But
baby, you know?
oh, it is, it is. So here's a kind of a related question.
Sure.
If TNA were to get a stronger TV deal, do
Hmm.
you think TNA has it in them to leapfrog AEW to become the number two company?
Ooh, great question. Wow, pulling out the bangers, Matt. Wow, look at you. Man, that's a great question. Like, certainly, I think that's tough because AEW, um, that TBS TNT deal ain't going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
Um, AEW still got a great apparatus to it. Because I won't reveal my sources, but I can honestly say I've seen a little bit of the inner workings of AEW.
Hmm.
And it's more than just the production side, the talent side, and the upper management. Like, it it runs almost similar to the army, and I would imagine WWE does the same, where they have entire divisions and subdivisions and everything like that. And it really surprised me how well they take care of their talent and how well they take care of kind of like lottie dottie everybody involved. Um,
Hmm.
so with that being said, I don't see, especially if it were risking like their TV deal, or they're running as like the next. the alternative WWE. I'm not sure, and it would take somebody like, um, like what's his name, the former UFC guy. Um, it would take
Oh,
somebody of that caliber.
Lorenzo Fertitta.
Sure. It would
Yeah,
take somebody with a lot more of a financial backing than TNA has already right now to really propel that to the next level. Because um, you know, AEW, say what you will, has a little bit of that mainstream appeal, because I see it on
they
billboards, I
do.
see it
Yeah,
on ads. Like they are able, like people, casual wrestling fans. Obviously, it's a little bit more marketed towards like the dedicated wrestling fan, as weird as that is to
it
say.
is. Yeah,
But there's still something there for people who don't really know wrestling all that much. Um, and I think they've done a great job at that in
they
things
have.
like their marketing and everything like that. So TNA is still, I don't want to call them like an indie show because they're far from it. They've been established for a long time. They have great attendance. They have this deal with WWE going. Uh Tremendous talent as we've discussed, and from what it seems like, they got a lot of very competent people behind the scenes kind of running the show.
Yeah,
So, I don't think maybe now they're positioned to leapfrog AEW unless they really rapidly expand, to the point where they're going to like major arenas and they're touring. And I have buddies that I'm talking to that are like talking about TNA instead of AEW. You know what I mean? So I
hmm,
think they got a little ways to go in that regard if they're gonna overtake AEW. Is it there though? Potentially, yeah. Very much
yeah. I
so.
mean, if nothing else, um, a good TV deal for TNA would put further pressure on AEW, and pressure on wrestling companies is oftentimes when the magic happens. I
Sure.
mean,
Absolutely.
so so
Right. Right. I
so
agree.
anyway, yeah, yeah. So I'm excited, basically, just to see what's going to happen in the next year or two.
Right.
Um,
And I certainly hope too, one last note, like I certainly hope that like DNA, like I love what they're doing with NXT. I love the crossovers that have happened. I know that the whole, like one of the biggest moments still this year alone was Joe Hendry at WrestleMania.
oh yeah,
We again, me and a couple of my wrestling buddies that we trained together when I was out in Washington, like we had a WrestleMania watch party, and that was easily like when
hmm,
Hendry came out against Randy, like the people were chanting it in the audience. My buddies were all like, "Oh, it's got to be Hendry, it's got to be Hendry," and then sure enough, it happened. It was like this is
yeah,
amazing. Um, so in that regard, yeah, like it's been great, and I love the relationship that they have, and you can have the Dudleys like name drop in the fact that they're the Dudleys, not just Team 3D on TNA
right,
television, and face no repercussions from WWE. That being said, though, I don't want them. I also don't want, like you said, competition's good, pressure is good. It's good for AEW.
yeah,
It's also good for WWE. I think
yep,
WWE right now, of the three, if we're talking TNA, AEW, and WWE, right now at least, I think WWE is the weakest, which is a total
hmm,
flip flop from last year when WWE was easily the best wrestling that they've done in 10 years.
yep,
Um,
yep,
and they've kind of let the ball fumble a little bit in ways
yeah,
that we might discuss later. And
yeah,
I certainly hope that the relationship with WWE that TNA has right now doesn't pigeonhole them. So they can go to the CW, they can go to another major cable network, and they can have a show that'll really propel them to be that true number two. And they're not doing necessarily what ROH is to AEW, which
yeah,
is fine, but like it would be better if TNA was its own separate thing and they weren't so heavily reliant on the WWE, because
right,
WWE feels safe knowing that TNA isn't out to get them anymore, you know? They're not out to
yeah,
take talent, offer more competitive deals, because if anything we've learned in the past, you can argue 30, 40 years, when WWE gets comfortable, gets really bad really fast. And I think that's
yep,
an argument for right now. So the less comfortable WWE is and the less comfortable AEW is, the better their product is going to be, I feel. And
Absolutely.
TNA being solely independent and looking out for TNA only, I think that that's the best way to go. So hopefully, inshallah, this CW deal works out, and they get somebody like the UFC guy to run it for them. And hopefully, like, it just lets TNA do its own thing and just, blow up into the stratosphere. So,
Absolutely. So, our final segment here, we're going to start doing
mm,
the hot take topic of the week. And the current topic is this: is the recent reliance in WWE creative on nostalgia, meaning such things as the Cena retirement tour, the return of Nikki Bella, to some extent the AJ Lee return, although that's kind of, to me, different because she has actually signed a multi-year deal, so she's going to be a full-time talent, at
right.
least ish. But is that sort of thing taking too much TV time to where it is potentially hurting the process of WWE creating new stars or further solidifying up and comers? What's your take?
Okay. Um, let me start. Let's wind the clocks back because I've been thinking about
Okay.
this, right? Let's
Yeah.
wind the clocks back to February 2017.
Okay.
I was a junior in high school, which is weird to say, but I was a junior in high school. I was just getting back. I was out of WWE for a while, and I'd been watching WWE off and on. Really got back into it in 2016 with the brand split and everything happening. I thought that was amazing television. Kevin Owens won the Universal Championship and was busting his ass. Had a great storyline going with Chris Jericho, right?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed 2016 was really the first time that WWE was starting to pull the nostalgia card in that they brought back Shane McMahon that year, um, and Goldberg made his return. Like, because before, yeah, yeah, right. Before WWE, I noticed, and this is why I sort of got out of it because I didn't like where it was going. Um, for the most part, with the more we, I'll leave it for another time. But WWE didn't really like looking to the past. They were so invested in their future, almost to a fault. They didn't have that balance. So they bring back Goldberg, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And he's going after Lesnar. They're gonna have a rematch, blah, blah, blah. Then they had the match, it was awesome at Survivor Series, right? Then Goldberg is like, I'm going in the Royal Rumble. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. People were just kind of like that. Didn't win it, okay. Eliminated Brock though. So it's like, all right, so we're getting the rematch between Goldberg and Brock at Mania. Brock's gonna get his win back. Awesome, great, whatever. Along the way, though, they threw the title to Kevin Owens, who had an amazing run with it, right? Again, the storyline with Chris Jericho. Say what you will about the matches with Roman Reigns, but they were great. He had a couple really good matches with Seth Rollins, and his promo work was on point. They
Mm-hmm.
throw him into that feud, made up in like 2 weeks. Uh, you know, concurrently running the Lesnar feud for Goldberg and the Jericho feud for Owens. Um, and Goldberg squashed him in like 20 seconds, takes the title, drops it to Brock. Brock has that reign that is mixed, but I didn't really like that year long. Anyway, they completely neutered and disintegrated the 5, 6, 7 months, whatever it was, reign of Kevin Owens that he busted his ass in, week out, putting on god tier, amazing television every week, just so that way they can have their cheap nostalgia pop. And that was the first time. And even though I was like 17 at the time, like something clicked in my mind where I was like, that nah, that should not have happened. This is ridiculous. If anything, they should have made Jericho and Owens for the title. because Brock and Goldberg can sell out
Mhm.
arenas anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Give the championship to the guys that need it, that want it, that deserved it, that earned it. They didn't do that. And then the belt itself suffered. Goldberg had, I think, a terrible run going forward of just the worst, like the Taker match that we talked about, but also that weird thing that he had with Dolph Ziggler, and then Bray Wyatt, and then Roman Reigns, and then uh, the squeaker with Goldberg. Like I think, or Goldberg, Gunther. Um, they kept bringing back Goldberg over and over again. And I don't want to pick on Goldberg, but like they thought they had lightning in a bottle when they didn't, because they thought, oh, just whip out Goldberg, he'll sell tickets, he'll pop the crowd. And it's like Goldberg wasn't the guy that they thought he was going to be. They
No.
thought, cashing in on nostalgia, right? Um, I don't think it did what they thought it was going to intend to do, and I think that's carried. I called it this. That the whole reason why I brought up Goldberg and everything is because internally I call it the Goldberg effect. It's where
Yeah.
WWE brings in, a star of yesteryear. They do their best to milk whatever they can out of him or her. Throw in a couple Saudi shows, and
Yep.
then there you go. You got um more often than not, from what I've seen, you've seen the younger talent suffer as a result. Um, the fans have to put up with, like lackluster title reigns or less than subpar matches where the hype dies down. So much so that I've noticed that people are starting to really get sick of the whole nostalgia thing. They had a chance, they had a redemption shot this year with the John Cena retirement tour. I remember when that started, it was actually July 24. Shout out to Lucky Dog Clothing in Seattle. I was there and they turned on Money in the Bank, and I was shopping for shoes and clothes, right? And they had it on the TV with John
Mhm.
Cena, tear in his eye, right? Telling the world that I'm gonna retire next year. And it's like, okay, great. The hype was there. The hype was there with
Yeah.
dudes that, watched a little bit of wrestling. The hype was there with people that didn't really watch wrestling, but people were talking
Yep.
about it because it's like, oh my God, it's John Cena. It doesn't even feel like it's a nostalgia bait. It's just John Cena, the legend, the GOAT, the guy that everybody grew up with. He's retiring. Yeah, sure, we're gonna be there. We that was our guy growing up, right? Dudes in the army, same thing. They were like, "Yo, sir, did you see that? John Cena's retiring and everything like that." Like people that don't usually watch wrestling started to pay attention, and
Yep.
it got even more so when he turned heel. And then this title reign, I don't know where it went wrong. But man, it's crashing and burning. And
Yeah.
you know, I want to say it's the Goldberg effect with John Cena. It's a little bit different, obviously. But to answer your question, and my hot take is I think nostalgia is a balancing act. Because when you use it like John Cena when he announced that he's retiring, when you use it properly and you get the casual people who don't
Yeah.
normally watch wrestling, but they know wrestling enough to understand it and to come back, most importantly, I think that's where it's used really effectively. Case in point, Money in the Bank 2024. But
Mhm.
when it's used too much to the detriment of others, um, and you can use it to the detriment of others if you have a plan. Like Goldberg and Brock, at the very least, had a plan. The Mania match.
Yeah.
The title change was totally unnecessary, but the blow off was Mania 33. At the very least, it had a plan. I can name you so many other times where it didn't have a plan, and it just blew up in their face. Probably, maybe lost some money, certainly lost some credibility. Um, WWE. So to answer the question, nostalgia is a balancing act. It can be very effective. It can be very detrimental. WWE's track record is that more often than not, they shoot themselves in the foot to a very detrimental effect, not just their talent, but also to their ratings. And, we're seeing the end result of that this year with all the
Yep.
nostalgia going on. We're in a valley of creative content right now from WWE. So curious to hear you, Matt. Sorry.
Agreed.
Sorry if I dragged on there.
Agreed. Oh no, no, man. I agree with you. I think if it is used somewhat sparingly and is used properly, nostalgia, like you said, can be a great thing as far as enticing the casual fans back. But I think, like with the case of, for instance, this Cena retirement tour, you know, if they had executed the heel turn, and I don't even know what they should have done instead of what they did, but if they were going to do something like that with Cena, they should have had a rock solid plan in place. And I feel like, to some extent, I almost feel like they had a plan, something changed,
Yep.
and then they didn't know what to do
Hmm.
after after whatever changed. Um, and I feel, to some extent, like they actually almost hung Cena out to dry, and
Yeah.
just told him, go make the best of this that you can. And you know
Yeah.
um so I
Right.
don't know.
I think Cena deserved better too. Like
Yeah.
that's the one. And I don't want to shit on WWE and be like, they didn't care. Like you said, they
Right.
they they probably gave it, an earnest thing or thing. They probably gave it like a really earnest like dedication, um where they sat down with him and they sat down with people who were interested in his farewell. They probably heard, John, how do you want to do this? And they just said, and he just pitched ideas. It just feels a little uh it felt like very like made of scotch tape, like
Yeah.
um it felt like the heel turn with The Rock and Travis Scott against Cody. It really felt like it was going somewhere, and I think that's why it was so effective, because it wasn't just
Hmm.
weird. It wasn't out of nowhere. I mean, it kind of was, but like you felt like at the end shot of Elimination Chamber when it was Cena, Rock, and Travis Scott standing there, you knew
Yeah.
something big was going down. And
Right.
I remember the hype. I was hyped to see that next promo from
Oh
Cena,
yeah.
and I saw the YouTube views. They were getting tens of millions of views. Uh,
Hmm.
WWE normally averages, on their YouTube segments, which is what is kind of like my data point. They averaged like hundreds of thousands, per episode. Cena was consistently getting a couple mil, and so
Yeah.
people were invested. They were interested. And if you did the Rock thing, I feel like maybe that's what originally was going to happen, but just stuff comes up like Cena saying that he couldn't do a certain show or whatever, and he obviously was playing it up, but he really wasn't, because he was doing something with Netflix. I remember right around SummerSlam, and
Right.
the fact that that would come up, like I feel like it's on John a little bit too to be like, "Yo, look, listen, I get it. I will work around. Like I'll do what I can, but this is important to me. I'm a wrestler at heart. I owe this." I remember he was on the Howard Stern show when I was a kid, that I watched back, and Cena said, "I have no problem with Vince McMahon owning my name because he gave me this tremendous opportunity to live my dream, to have all this money, right? Um, and here he is making WWE work around him and his movie schedule. And I get it, schedules are schedules, but Cena had all authority to be like, look, Netflix movie deal, this, that. Um, it's me, John Cena, the wrestler. This is important to me. I'm taking one calendar year off. I'm not going to work every week, but I want this. I want to go out my way, and I want to
Yeah.
give the fans what I feel like I can give to them. Um, on that note, hot take, I think they should have kept Cena a face. If you wanted to do the heel turn, great. I think the heel turn was really effective. It's just, again, they didn't have a plan for it. I didn't see the
Yeah.
the harm though. I think the build up would have been even better if it was like an emotional face Cody Rhodes versus face John Cena. And it's
Yeah.
like you got two guys who just really respect each other, but it's like Cena's like, I need this, and Cody's like, I my story that, like I feel like it was
Yeah.
there to have a face versus face main event of Mania. Totally there. So,
Right.
what? And if Cena won that match and he won his 17th title, no harm, no foul, and face Cena.
Exactly.
Um, going back earlier to when what's his name, Javon Evans fought Sami Zayn for the open US title thing. It's exactly what Cena
Hmm.
did with the open.
Yep.
I'm the WWE champion. Like here, like I'm open challenge. You don't have to do that, but it's just like something where people really respect him, like they did for the US Open title thing, and
Hmm.
the money will make itself because people were going to come regardless to see John Cena's last year. The heel turn
Exactly.
though just felt directionless, and I know
It
you
did.
know,
It did.
I'm down here,
You,
right? But
you know the thing the thing that bugs me is, when they finally decided to basically pull the ejection handle on the heel turn, there was never any explanation. It was just like suddenly he's back to being a baby face, and the
yeah,
whole thing is just kind of swept away. You
yep,
know, there was never a this is why.
right,
you know,
bro. He
uh,
he
and
literally
and well,
apologized to the crowd. He literally went, "I'm
yeah,
sorry."
yeah,
We're
yeah,
like, okay,
and that was it.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I felt like there should have been at least a sort of make it make sense type of
yeah.
moment, but that they just realized at that point that they had really screwed up, and they were just trying to course correct, and it was just, but it was what it was.
I tell you,
So
Matt, I think the worst part about the whole Cena thing is that, and this again, it's just my opinion. I think WWE really showed the curtain of wrestling being predetermined and scripted and everything like that. Like
yeah,
that face turn alone was, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction to all the online comments of people being like, "This Cena heel turn isn't working. I don't like it. It feels jolted and discombobulated. Like they're not really giving it focus or whatever." Um, and I feel like they pivoted too early, or maybe John was like, "Hey, look, I don't think it's working. I want to go back to being a face." Either way, it was like you said, like just the fact that they went and did it the way they did it. Um, man, like it really showed that I really think it showed them that you know there's no rhyme or reason that Cena went back to being a face. He just like we said, he literally apologized to the crowd. He said, "I'm sorry," and then that was it. He was a face again. I think it really exposed that. Because we all know it's kayfabe. Not, let's just say there's kayfabe, and not kayfabe, right?
yeah,
Um, they really showed that you know, like kayfabe is a thing, if you know what I mean. Like
yeah,
they really showed that this is predetermined and scripted, um, indirectly.
yeah,
And I think it was super obvious, and I think it really just, the feedback that this run has gotten, whether he was as a heel after Mania or, the sudden face turn, which everybody saw as like just at face value for what it was, a knee-jerk reaction to the Lesnar match. I think the Lesnar match is the worst thing we've gotten so far. Like that just felt super odd, you know?
oh yeah,
Um, I think people are gonna remember this as a misfire, unfortunately too, because it's John Cena, man. Who didn't want to
yeah,
see Cena have an amazing final year, a retirement year? The guy certainly deserves it, you know.
yep,
So I don't know what went wrong. I hope one day, because something definitely went wrong. We
yeah,
can we can both agree on that. Hope one day we'll get an answer. Maybe not
yeah.
anytime
There's
soon.
yeah, something happened,
Yeah,
and like you, I hope someday the truth of the situation comes out, but who knows? you know
right.
but But for those of you that are watching this, if you like what we've done tonight, definitely let us know. Drop us some comments. Give us some thoughts and suggestions about what you'd like us to talk about, because we're
Please.
hoping to be doing this on a pretty regular basis. And man, Stephen, I have a blast doing these with you. You are a
Yeah.
great broadcast partner, and
Hey,
uh,
takes
you
two to
know,
tango, right,
uh,
Matt?
absolutely. And I definitely look forward to doing this a lot more. So
100%. I like Matt, the honor and pleasure is all mine. You'll hear me apologize a million more times for dragging on, but whenever I'm whenever I'm passionate, about
yep.
something, in this case being wrestling, I'm passionate. I'm passionate to the point where I'm willing to go out and put my body on the line. And I'm passionate enough to, talk to you however many hours of the week, it means, because that's how much I love this sport and form of entertainment. And I share that passion with so many other people. But it's not routine enough, and this is something I really enjoy. I look forward to it. Um, so thank you. The pleasure and honor is
Oh,
all mine for coming
absolutely,
on.
man.
So
And and until next time, we will definitely be seeing you again. And just be good to each other. Love each other, and we will see you soon.